Hello chess fans, this is Rick from Chess to Progress with number 30 in the series Viewers Games. This one is from Joseph from the USA. Hi, I recently played this game. It's short but interesting. My name is Joseph and maybe his name was Lee, I don't remember. However, if you would like to show it on your channel, you may. His rating was 1800 and mine was around 1600. Thank you very much, Joseph, for sending me this game. I don't know the time control, but let's have a look at the game. Let's see Joseph in action. Lee was white. Well, we're not sure if his name was Lee, but let's call him Lee. Joseph was black. e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5. We are in the Ruy Lopez, the Spanish opening. Bishop c5, which is one of the lines. Lee castled, knight ge7, c3, and now Joseph plays d5. He says, I wanted to stop his central control, but I lost a pawn. The main line of the theory goes as follows. Instead of d5, the main move here is bishop b6. And then d4. That, of course, was the intention of the c2, c3 move to push d4. Then black takes, c takes d4, and then d5 with an equal position. So Joseph played d5 straight away, and now indeed white can take a pawn on e5 because the knight on c6 is pinned to the bishop versus the queen. Joseph took on e4 and he says, this was the first blunder. I didn't see the knight sacrifice, and so therefore I messed up the opening. Better was to castle and play on his undeveloped pieces. Yes, castling was probably a better move, and indeed black has a advantage in development, which means he has more of his pieces into the game, especially white's queenside, especially knight b1 and bishop c1 will take some time to get out. But Joseph played d takes e4 and missed the piece sacrifice knight takes f7. Easy to miss, but it's always good to look out for the sacrifices on f7. f7 is a weak square in chess, and so is f2, and especially in the e4, e5 openings. So be careful when one of your opponent's pieces is looking at f7. Always check if there's not a sacrifice possible. After knight takes f7, Joseph took the piece, and then queen h5 check. Forking king and bishop. In my database there was a 2300 ELO rating player who fell for this tactic as well. But he played g6 here, while Joseph played knight g6. Here Lee could have taken on c5 straight away, winning the piece back. But he played bishop takes c6 first, and Joseph rightly says, I didn't like this move for white. I thought he should keep his bishop. It's the only other developed piece beside his queen. And Joseph is right about that. There was no need to take on c6. After bishop takes c6, b takes c6, now Lee took on c5, and black indeed has some compensation for the pawn and his ruined pawn structure. White's queenside is undeveloped. After queen takes a5, c5, Joseph played queen f6 and says, this was my other mistake. Instead of looking to trade queens and try to equalize, I thought the only way I could win was if I played against his undeveloped pieces. My unwillingness to trade queens is a bad habit I have that has cost me many games. Well, I disagree with you, Joseph. I think it's great that you have an unwillingness to trade queens. A real chess player wants to keep the queens on the board, and queen f6 is not a bad move. And please keep your unwillingness to trade queens. That is what real chess players are made of. Complicated positions, that's what we like, and if we don't like complicated positions, then why are we playing chess? After queen f6, white played f3. And here is a mistake from Joseph. He played e3. He says trying to block in the bishop at any cost. Well, the e3 move doesn't really block in the bishop. It was already difficult for black here. The only move to really keep equality instead of e3 was knight f4. And now you cannot take on e4 because then you get checkmated. Knight e2 check, king h1, queen takes f1 check, queen g1, queen takes g1 checkmate. So after knight f4 you have to do something like knight a3 to try and develop your queen side, and then rook e8, and black has good compensation for the pawn. But Joseph played e3, and Lee just took that pawn, that's another pawn, and it has not blocked in the bishop on c1 at all, which was Joseph's reason to play that move. He played bishop a6, hitting the rook, rook went to e1, rook h d8, queen a5, and queen h4, attacking the rook on d1. But it doesn't work. Lee now comes with a nice way to deal with that attack on his rook on e1. He plays queen takes c7 check, and the king goes to g8, and then queen back to g3, and the rook on e1 is now safe. And white is now 3 pawns up. Queen a4, of course you don't want to trade queens when you're material down. And f4. It's an okay move, white is winning. An alternative would have been knight d2 just to start developing that queen side. After f4, Joseph played queen c2, queen f2. Black has 3 pieces in the attack, but it's not enough in this position. And here Joseph played bishop e2, a very creative move. He calls it the worst blunder. I was only looking at the tactics with queen and rook trying to capture his bishop with some sort of pressure left over, but I didn't see his next move. Yes, bishop e2 is refuted by Lee's move knight a3, attacking the queen. But even taking on e2 would have worked for white. Queen takes e2, queen takes e2, rook takes e2, rook d1 check, king f2, and rook takes c1. White's pieces are somewhat crumbled up, but he will be able to untangle himself. For example, rook e1 is an idea. Black does not have enough firepower left to take advantage of white's rook a1 and knight b1 formation. But knight a3 was the move played in the game. Queen d1 from Joseph. And you cannot take on d1, of course, because of rook takes d1 check. And you have to interpose your queen on e1. If you interpose on f1, it's checkmate. After queen e1, rook takes e1 check, king f2, rook h1, king takes e2, rook d8. Black is winning. But after queen d1, Lee just took on e2. Queen takes, rook d1 check, king f2, rook a d8, knight c4, rook h1, and the last move of the game, rook d2. Joseph says, I resigned because after his last move all my counterplay was gone and he had many more pawns than me. In short, this game taught me a lot. First, don't mess up in the openings, and second, if you have a worse position, always look to equalize even at the cost of trading queens. I don't have much to add to that. Of course it's important to survive the opening. You don't need to learn lots of opening theory unless you are a master or above. But surviving the opening is of course important, and that you do that by developing your pieces, occupying the center, and putting your king safe. And again, I really like your last comment, Joseph, even at the cost of trading queens. It's great that you are looking for complicated positions with the queens on the board. Yes, sometimes it's good to trade queens, but your mentality to keep the queens on the board will take you a long way in chess. Thank you very much for sending this game, and well played. Joseph was right to resign in this position. Of course, if black takes on d2, he takes back with the knight. Black might win a pawn on h2, but he has a lot of weak pawns, and he is, even after taking on h2, he will be still 2 pawns down, and white will be able to develop his queen side and has a winning position. Hope you enjoyed Joseph's adventure in this game. If you did, please give the video a thumbs up. Please subscribe to the Chess to Progress channel. Please leave a comment. And if you liked the video, it would be great if you could share it on social media by clicking the share button on YouTube. You also may want to check out my Chess to Impress channel. The link is in the description box. This is Rick from Chess to Progress. Thank you for watching.